Hi everyone, we are Board Games for the Future. So the problem we're trying to address today is the idea that there are about 23 million Americans out there who either suffer from osteoarthritis, which is, for those who may not know, the arthritis of the hand, or are missing part of, if not their entire hand in total. So the main issue we have with this is when you look at the population dynamic itself. A lot of people in nursing homes tend to have osteoarthritis. We'll pull up a chart in one moment. But basically what happens is we went into the 3 nursing homes in the local area over in North Andover, Amesbury, and Newburyport. And we kind of got to talk to the residents and see what their daily life was like and what we can do to help them. So it turns out about 83% of them, one of their favorite pastimes is board games. And they usually play about 2 to 4 times a week. However, due to the pain that osteoarthritis can cause in the hand, basically they actually feel humiliated and kind of upset because they are unable to get through an entire game of chess or checkers with a new player due to the pain in their hand. So it puts them in an awkward situation and they're no longer getting that social interaction that they so desire. So I actually got a wonderful opportunity to meet this old gentleman named Ben over in Amesbury. And Ben touched me a lot for this project actually. So he was actually a champion checkers and chess player throughout his entire life. It was his favorite thing in the whole wide world, and his best friend Sam used to play with him all the time. Unfortunately, when I met Ben, Sam passed away about 2 weeks ago. And it turns out that since then, Ben has no longer been able to play checkers or chess because he doesn't know anyone else in the community. And he feels so uncomfortable that he doesn't even get any social interaction anymore. And I think the part that really hit me was the fact that he was visibly breaking down, and he's not the only one that I saw getting very upset and very much affected with this issue. So we're trying to expand our market in a way so that we can help those people get that so desired social interaction.
So our solution to the problem is we are focusing on a 3-layer chess and checkers board system where the top layer will be the almost performance and showcase layer where all of the pieces will be moved hands-free through almost like an Alexa type system of voice recognition. And then the second layer will be the transportation layer. So as a piece is selected to be moved, it'll be pulled down and moved across on the second layer. So it's basically like 3 layers of boards, and then it will be shot up. And then the discard system is on the 3rd layer. And the cool part about the discard system is that as soon as the piece is discarded, it has a memory, so it sets it up back in the spot for like a new game. So as soon as the game's over and completed, all the pieces are already set up on the 3rd layer, and they can be brought right back to the top. And we feel like that is really separating us from the hands-on way of chess and checkers, and we are using hands-free and CNC stepper motors and electromagnets to make that process happen underneath the board.
Yeah, so we decided we can sell our product to lots of places, individually to anyone with hand limitations or arthritis specifically. We can also sell it on a larger market to places like nursing homes, rehab centers, and hospitals, where a lot of people with hand limitations may gather or live together. And how will this product be sustained? So we think this product, we can incorporate it with play other games such as checkers, we can also do in chess, and we can incorporate it to do other games down the future. We also work towards making it more cost effective, changing our parts as we continue on and learn more. Yes.
So we are estimating to make our prototype, a working prototype, it would be about $500. However, as we do learn more and find new parts and new ways to improve the product, we see that price going down. And we are very committed to stay with this. We are all freshmen, and we're excited to see where this can go.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Questions?
I have a bunch, but I don't know what first time.
Get one in.
I'll ask a couple of questions. First, your kind of survey into board games, you're focusing on checkers and chess. Have you preliminarily thought of other types of board games? And what are they?
Absolutely. So some of the things we were just trying to get the very basics of moving a piece around. We thought the best place just to start would be a classic game like checkers or chess that a lot of people know how to play. For example, one of our target audiences is people in nursing homes, so we don't want to give them anything that's too new or above and beyond from what they already know, just for starting. But once we do get this process along, we're considering games such as Sorry, Monopoly, and like the classic board games. However, if our product does get funded and we can develop it further and get to talk to some more people in our community, get some more input on some professors, because again, we're still in the learning process of this idea, we're hoping to actually almost create our own board games where we could play like a 4-way version of chess or checkers, or make our own adaptable games and market that out.
So have you gotten anything towards a prototype? What it would, how it would
We
work?
have a prototype design. We haven't had enough time to put it together and make adjustments, but basically we want to have a 3x3 section of a chess and checkers board and be able to move the piece like the system would work on the full board. Because we can demonstrate it in a 3x3 section, and you don't need the $500 to do that.
We've already made a working prototype last year, or last semester. We used a different method of playing the game. We used suction cups.
Yeah, I saw that in theory.
Yeah, so we decided that was too unreliable, so that's why we're switching to magnets now.
And it caused a lot of visibility and clarity issues watching the game happen. So that's why we decided to go underneath the board.
So it's gonna be essentially a voice command.
Yes.
Yes.
To avoid.
And the voice will do what relative to the magnet?
So-
The only non-scientist.
It's kind of like we could do like a game of Battleship. You say like A1 to like B3, whatever. Each square will have a name in the system, and when you voice command, it'll
It's kind of like
do
the
it.
coordinates as well. We were planning on
Coordinates.
setting up the board into 4 quadrants and using the CNC axes to, like, each quadrant is responsible, or each step promoter is responsible for a quadrant. And we're gonna handle it that way.
Are you developing your own natural language processing platform? Are you licensing it? How does that come in?
So we're a little new to the voice commands. We have talked to a few professors, and we're trying to get a little bit more feedback. As of right now, our current design from last semester, we did work with Difference Maker a little bit last semester, but again, we're completely switching around parts of our idea. So we're currently programmed in MATLAB. However, we're still kind of learning MATLAB, and we did look into possibly changing over to C, just because it tends to be a little bit of a broader network for voice commands. We're going to be working with one of the computer science professors over on North, and she's going to try to help us figure out what's our best match and what's our best way to go about this.
Okay, very cool.
I'm a mechanical engineering student from Lowell. When I was a freshman, I was nowhere where you guys are. So I was figuring out how do I get a ride to New Hampshire to get a cheap case of beer. So my hat's off to you. Couple
That's a
questions.
tough challenge, though.
Yeah, it
That's
was.
a tough challenge.
What's the retail price point that you guys are anticipating?
Well, our only competitor online they have copyright issues, and their board was being marketed at anywhere from, I believe, $350 to $415, in that range. Our board would probably fall in that.
Would you be able to make
as well.
profit at that price point?
I
And you
believe,
sold it like $400 or $500?
I believe we would.
And then one of the other things is I think that given that you're all mechanical engineers, I think it's great, but at the same time, it's probably distracting you from looking at other solutions.
Yes.
So you think about like augmented reality.
Yeah.
We were definitely thinking about furthering our product in that way. We are also thinking of getting people that aren't mechanical engineers into our group soon.
The more diversity, the better.
Yeah, we'll
definitely.
definitely think about doing that soon.
Because I gotta think about like, so if you king at somebody in checkers,
Mhm.
like how does your board handle a king?
So the way our solution to that is when it's like the same process as the discard system, but it recognizes when it's being kinged, and instead of moving the piece, it's going to select a new piece from
Oh, bring
like
it
a
over.
storage
Good
unit.
solution. Good for
Yeah,
you
it is
guys.
like a king.
Because we had that was our main problem with the suction cups. How do we king it? How do we flip it upside down? How
Yeah.
do we put a piece on top of it? And that's what we came up with.
I mean, if you were to take a look at our board and see like visually what would happen, if anyone here's a Harry Potter fan and they know yes, Wizard's Chess, the idea that our piece almost disappears and travels on the second layer below all of our pieces and then rises back up in the place where you put it. So it's almost like it just disappears and reappears in a way, and that allows us to switch out the kings and everything like that.
You need a power outlet to get this to work, right? So
We
you,
do,
Yes.
so it wouldn't be working outside where there's a lot of chess games that are played outside. There's a lot of chess, like my barber at the chess game that everyone was just down played. So it wouldn't be for those sort of places, right? It's
Not this
around a
point,
power
yeah.
system.
Yeah, initially we would definitely need a power system.
Hopefully we'll get to a point where we can figure out a way for it to be self-generated, but right now we're just
We could
working on
definitely put a
it.
battery in at some point.
Yeah.
We're not at that point yet.
And can you talk about the market and how you would sell to the market? Like, what's your go-to-market strategy? Do you sell directly to nursing homes, or do you expect the people who are in the nursing homes to afford this?
So as of right now, our plan is to go out to the nursing homes in the local area and see who would have interest and if they would be willing to buy it in bulk and almost put it in a common area. So I have actually talked to some nursing homes. I do have some interviews. The head of, I want to say it's caregivers in North Andover. I'm just from that area. They will actually, once we have a working prototype, they would really love it if we can actually bring it in and see how the people like the situation. And they said they'd be willing to buy it off if enough people actually have interest. So that's a good point. I think it's better, just for the beginning, to try and market more towards hospitals or nursing homes. So there's a lot of people playing. That way we can get our name out there, and if people really like it, they can order it and take it home. And eventually we can make it more of a consumer-friendly price. Once we're producing obviously in mass production, it's going to be a lot easier for us to get our parts cheaply made and as efficient as possible. So we're trying to cut down costs that way so that we can get it to the individual, but just heading out wise, we'll probably start with hospitals and nursing homes.
Thanks.
Come on, John, I know you have lots of questions.
I'm concerned about the price point and like the cost of manufacturing and how much diligence have you done around that? So I think that idea is actually a really good idea. You're solving this really cool problem. But you're talking about like a lot of mechanical parts.
Yes. So what I have found through some research online is the stepper motors are fairly inexpensive when you buy in bulk. So about 6 of them can be purchased for $100, and if we needed 6 of them, then the rest of the materials would probably be around another $100, $150 for like a first model. So that wouldn't leave us too much profit for a first one, but as we continue to work towards it, and if boards continue to be sold, then the price of the materials will go down, and we can hopefully produce a more cost-friendly and, like Nicole was saying, a more consumer-based product or version of the product. Because right now, you're right, it does have a lot of mechanical parts underneath. It does.
So I have a question. So you're saying you're thinking about retailing around $300 to $400, right? So
Yes.
you can now go get probably a 2-year-old iPad for around the same price, right? And you can play board games with people and achieve all the communal things that you're talking about, where you can set it up as a power source and play, right? So what's the advantage of not putting a tablet in front of someone and saying, hey, play a community chess game, which addresses all of that without having to pick up pieces and whatnot?
I actually have a lot of experience with that.
Sure.
So when I went into the nursing home, I was talking to some of the residents as to, wait, so if this is such a big issue, why aren't you playing on an iPad? They look at me, they go, an I what? They're not familiar with our technology nowadays, and in fact, some of it scares some of them. Personally, we grew up in a generation where we're not afraid of technology, so I don't quite understand why they're so repulsed from it. But it turns out, I did take a survey. It turns out the people that had interest, about 85% of them would prefer to have the physical board game in front of them, because when you are playing on an app, the entire process of having it in front of you and having it more of a communal area is lost in their eyes. Because they identify that physical piece of the game with the physical player across from them. Yes, there are multiplayer apps out there for checkers. However, they don't want to play it because it doesn't feel real to them. And if it is a case of osteoarthritis, are you guys aware of the parts of the hand, well, right here, there is a knuckle in your thumb, and it's one of the most common places to get osteoarthritis. So if you guys were to pick up your phones, chances are you're going to pick it up at the back in your palm, and your thumb's going to be what you press with. They can't move that thumb. So the thumb is the main problem, actually, when picking up the piece, because not all animals have the thumb, and we're very lucky to have it, but some people don't have that option to play with a fully functional thumb. So when playing on an app, they still can't make it through the game because it's actually requiring even more effort to get that specific spot that they want tapped.
Right, unless you integrate it with Alexa.
Yes, exactly. If once we do voice control, the difference between our competitor right now is it requires a hand setup. So they still have to set up the game completely on their own. Whereas our product sets it up below the board game and brings it all up for the next play so that they don't even have to touch the pieces and that they don't have any form of discomfort in not being able to play physically with their hand.
Is it a weight issue? Are the pieces, the weight of the pieces too heavy, or is it just over time, no matter how light they are, it's still going to hurt?
So it,
I think it's the motion.
It's
Just
the motion,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the physical,
Grabbing it,
Yeah.
so over time.
Yeah.
Got it.
it's the idea that the pieces are so small that it's difficult to pick up. Like if it was the size of a water bottle, I'm sure it'd be a lot easier to pick up that teeny tiny chess piece, you know?
Got it. So bigger is easier because you don't have to grip it with your thumb essentially.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just a motion having to kind of move your
Got it.
joints together.
Any, one more question maybe, or?
I just have one comment. So first of all, I love the team approach, presentation breakdown. My pet peeve in presentations is that everyone turns and looks at the board. So you talk to the PowerPoint presentation and your back is to your audience. And Nicole, I was very impressed with you, just going for it and eye contact. I'm a lawyer, so that's my bias. But none of you were dependent on it. Your material was there. You knew the material, and so that's a format you should continue with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You
Thanks,
guys look
guys.
at the reflection? The slides?
Oh, no.
Can you see the reflection?
I guess,
It's
I
back.
didn't even
It's
notice.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I
I know
noticed
that's
was
right
the
on your
logo.
And then a lot of times they have like a
Well,
monitor in the back.
teleprompter, yeah.
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 Great. Thanks a lot, guys.